Everybody, Jim Davis along with the Buckeye Boy from the Jim Davis Show. Weekday mornings, 7 to 10 on Colorado Sports. Later the team. Oh, it's been a very, very busy week with the NFL trade deadline. Demaryius Thomas going to the Texans for a 4th and a 7th round pick, coming back to Denver. DT, what is the DT legacy in Denver? Because it's, me being a Broncos fan, I'm conflicted because you look at the numbers career-wise, second behind Rod Smith in yardage and a lot of other categories. He went to 2 Super Bowls. He won a Super Bowl with the Broncos in 2015.
Got some great numbers in the other one.
Yeah, well, record number of catches for a Super Bowl for Demaryius Thomas, and they lost to Seattle, got boat raced by Seattle. But he's never been a guy that teams game plan to shut down. He had the 5-year stretch of over 1,000 yards receiving each year. And look, I can give him credit for what he did last year with 3 different quarterbacks, almost 1,000 yards last year. But there's just, I don't know where to put him in the Broncos pantheon of great players. Is he a Ring of Fame guy? Yeah, probably.
Borderline, kind of.
Not a Hall of Famer though. Like we talked about in the program, the Hall of the very good are good. That's kind of where
pretty decent.
Yeah, that's kind of where he is.
As an outsider in Broncos country, to me, his legacy is 7 words that you can say with either anger or sadness. Could have been so much better.
I think, yeah, the comparisons are always going to be there with another Georgia Tech alum and Calvin Johnson, Megatron, that we always thought he would be like Megatron. And he really never was like Calvin Johnson, a dominant player that you had to game plan for.
Yeah.
Good player, well-behaved guy, good community guy over in Denver. I just think the Broncos made the right decision here. They get a 4th round pick and a 7th round pick, and basically just swap spots in the 7th round with the Texans. Yeah. But the legacy, I'm not really sure what it is with Demaryius Thomas.
He could have been so much better.
Mm-hmm.
You never game planned against him, like you said. 88 was never the guy in Denver.
Yep.
81, Charles Johnson, Megatron, was the guy.
No doubt about it.
Michael Irvin was the guy when they went to the air. The playmaker. When they went to the air in Dallas, he was the guy.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you go kind of...
Wait a minute, Alvin Harper, don't...
Oh, come on. Don't even start with that. But he was never the guy. He had other great complementary wide receivers around him at times. Eric Decker, when he was with the Broncos, was great. A lot of that's Peyton Manning. Emmanuel Sanders is great as well as the complementary wide receiver, the number 2 wide receiver. Demaryius Thomas, to me, never lived up to his expectations.
All right, move on to the Nuggets. They're 6-1. They get the win against the Bulls with Paul Millsap getting the putback with just like about 3 seconds left in the final waning seconds of overtime.
Yeah.
Denver's now 6-1. Look, you've got your thoughts about this. We'll hear about that in a moment. They're 6-1. Yeah, they statistically dominated that game.
Mm-hmm.
And they've had games against Sacramento, which they gave up the first time this year 100 points to somebody, but a game that they really had in hand. They've had games like the Bulls game where teams that aren't as good, they should go out and just crush, and they kind of struggle a little bit at times. I just, look, they're 6-1, but I know you feel like that was a lackluster performance last night. I don't disagree with that. Mike Malone certainly wouldn't disagree with that, but let's not lose the lead here that they are 6-1 in the season, second best record in the Western Conference right now.
Right, they're 6-1 with 75 games left to go, and so far in their 7 games, there's 3 of them where they really haven't been able to put away a team that is much worse than them. Sacramento is not nearly as good as Denver, and they gave up the most points they've given up all season.
But they also had that game in control, though. There was no threat of them losing that game.
But it wasn't what they could have done to Sacramento. The Lakers, they had that game. They had that game in their grasp, and they let it slip away. And, yeah, LeBron James can do crazy things on the court, but the other LeBronses on the Lakers are not nearly any good when it comes to the Nuggets, and they lost that game. In Chicago last night, they out-rebounded the Bulls by by 18. The bench outscored the Bulls bench by 22, and they needed a Millsap tip-in at the buzzer in overtime to just barely squeak by a Chicago team that, if you can name 5 starters or 5 members of that team without looking at a roster, I'll give you $1. No one can. I'm not even sure that the coach of the Bulls knows any of those guys' names.
And won. That's what matters right now.
Yeah, but if you know what, coming up in March and April, if you don't start closing out these bad teams, a bad team is going to get you, and you're going to be a game out of the playoffs.
Can we get like 20
again.
games into the season before? Come on, they're winning on the road
My
right
expectations are higher than everybody else's. Sue me.
Mike Malone likes where your head is at, by the way, because I'm
Hey,
sure
for
Mike
2
Malone.
weeks they were on
Mike
pace.
Malone feels, and I don't disagree entirely with what you're saying. I'm just saying, come on, they are 6-1. They're winning games on the road. Yeah, you'd like them to do it in more convincing fashion,
for
but
2
they're winning
weeks
right now.
they were on pace for 82-0, and now they're not, and they've significantly taken a step back from that.
Okay, wrap it up. High school football this weekend. See, you're going to have the game with Montrose and Aurora Central.
Road trip. Long John Silvers.
Long John Silvers and Montrose. Pre-game at 5. Kickoff at 6. High school football brought to you by Ken Richards, State Farm Insurance. And then on Saturday, the Rifle Bears open up the 2A playoffs. Max Ryan and Nate Andrews will have that one. Their pregame at 12:30, 1 o'clock kickoff. And that'll be across the entire Team Sports Network on Saturday. And then CMU football against Adams State. A high-octane passing attack of the Grizzlies taking on the Mavericks. We had a really good, solid home win and homecoming last week, taking down Dixie State. Great week for Antonio Clark and also Easton Salem. Final game of the regular season, Mavericks and Adams State Saturday night. Kickoff at 7 on the Team CMU Sports Network. So lots of stuff to check out this weekend, along with NFL action. And make sure you check out our videos at theteam1340.com, and we'll see you on Monday.
Nuggets, get it together.